evening and welcome to Channel 1776 News. Bill Hicks here alongside with Dan Johnson, and tonight we have a very special report on today's exhilarating court case, Gibbons versus Ogden.
We will be giving those without a lot of info some background information before giving you a special look inside the case and discussing what could possibly mean for the future.
As Dan said, we will begin tonight's presentation with a look into the background of this case and why it is so important to us. We will look to our analysts, Adam and Ryan, for just that. Adam?
Thanks, guys. The first thing that you should know about this case is that it's all about steamboats. You know them, you love them, but they can cause some conflict.
Now, there's more to the story than the names in the case. The conflicts that brought about this case began with two other men, Robert Fulton and Robert Livingston. Fulton's name may sound familiar, and that is because he actually invented the steamboat. Anyways, these two men were given a license by New York that allowed them to use steamboats within the rivers of New York.
Aaron Ogden, the first side of the case, purchased from Fulton and Livingston a license to use these waters to operate his own steamboat. He simply purchased a license from Fulton and Livingston that they had because of their license given to them by the state of New York. This basically gave Ogden a monopoly of New York, New Jersey waters. Now here's where things get interesting.
Well, hold on now. Ogden teamed up with the other side of the case, Thomas Gibbons, a steamboat company. The two eventually ended up disbanding, but would soon meet again, this time in court.
After their falling out, Gibbons began his own steamboat company that ran on the same waters that Ogden had a monopoly on. When Ogden brought this up in state court, Gibbons stated that he had the right to operate on these waters because a federal law created years ago allowed him to get a federal coastal license.
Now, when Ogden brought this up to New York court, he was asking for an injunction, meaning Gibbons would not be allowed to use the waters. Even though Gibbons used the coastal license to justify it, the court gave him the injunction.
Gibbons, feeling that he would be able to fight this, decided to appeal to the Supreme Court, which brings us to where we are today. Back to you all.
Thanks, guys. Well, it seems that we are just in time to catch the decision of the case. Let's join our reporter, Mark Steele, for the decision.
As we speak, the Supreme Court is making their final decision on the case. What's that? I've just gotten word that they've ruled by unanimous decision that Gibbons has won the case. His use of the waters was free. Let's go try to get an interview with one of them. Oh, there's Gibbons.
Well, it's comforting to know that our legal system knows what they're doing. They understand that when it comes to most things, the federal government has the power. It would be ridiculous for my federal license granted to me because of a law made by Congress to be simply made useless by some license granted by the state. If you'll excuse me, I must go. I have a steamboat company to run.
Why, yes, he does. Oh, there's Ogden. Let's see what he thinks.
I am honestly just bewildered. I have never once been told the federal government has power over commerce. They pulled out some little article they said gave the state less power than the national government when dealing with commerce affairs. As a politician, former governor of New Jersey to be exact, why am I just now learning what the word commerce truly means? Now I must suffer? I knew I shouldn't have listened to those two guys and bought that license. Investors of things are just so persuasive.
Guys, let's hand it back. Wait a second. Is that Chief Justice Marshall up here? Let's get this. Come on. Mr. Marshall, what are your thoughts on this case?
Well, first of all, I had to provide the court with a proper definition of the word commerce. I had to define it to include interstate waterways, navigation, and trade. This was to use the Commerce Clause, Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, as reasoning behind our decision. The clause gave our federal government control over commerce, and with my definition, this meant that Gibbons' federal license overruled the New York license of Ogden. It was a great case, and I was very pleased to be a part of it.
Wow, what an interview. We got to talk to both sides of the case and the justice that presided over it. This sure is every reporter's dream. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Mark. I'm sure glad we got such a good look at this case.
Certainly. It was very interesting to hear about Chief Justice Marshall and the other judges came to their conclusion, having to actually clarify something written in the very Constitution. This could be very big for the future, Bill.
It really could be, and that's why we're going to take it back to our analysis team to hear what they can think would come out of this case, what effects it can have on our country. Adam, Ryan, what are you guys thinking?
Well, firstly, I think on the surface, this is most certainly a strengthening of federal power.
Absolutely. Congress will now be able to regulate any kind of commerce as long as the regulatory region spans across state lines.
And not only can they pass regulatory legislation, but they can also use this legislation to nullify state laws on commerce interstate.
Wow. Talk about federal power. This case is sure to open up the path to federal power to regulate many things previously left up to the state.
Alexander Hamilton is smiling in his grave.
Congress will also be able to overturn any kind of in-state commerce regulation as long as they can link it to an interstate issue. Outstanding.
Well, that's it for our nightly news. As always, thanks for tuning in.
We'll cover any new breaking court cases as soon as they're available. Good night, America.